One of the things that can get in the way of our success is not being real about ourselves. Real in the sense of what we can and can't do, what we're willing to try, what we're not willing to try, what scares us, what makes us happy, all those things. We're going to talk about that today and a whole lot more on episode 905 of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote provides an opportunity for business owners and leaders to discover what is real for them and to be impacted by what is real for others. That is the Renegade way. Let's get real. We all face challenges and get stuck occasionally and are looking for an antidote. Each weekday, this show dives into a topic that may have you stuck, frustrated, and uncertain. Our goal is to share our value in an effort to help you find that one thing, the antidote to your challenges, so that you can get results and make more money. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom, good morning. I forgot what I did last time. I totally blanked.
About what?
I did something. I was going to do something every day, and I totally can't remember what it was.
Well, it wasn't what you were starting to do.
Yeah, I was getting ready to do the do, but not there because I realized that's not going on anymore.
Well, I had a little pause for a moment when the music started. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not the right. No.
I did the same thing.
Amazing what happens when you take however many days off that we, not days off, but that we recorded, and so we weren't up doing it, and it can happen.
Hey, at the start of today's program, I got to say, I know a lot of kids going back to school. It's back to school day. It's chaos day for parents and students. I was in a Walmart yesterday at about 1:30, 2 o'clock, and it was void of all school supplies. There wasn't a school supply to be had there. I'd been there the day before, and it was packed with school supplies. So it's that time in a lot of parts of the country. Some parts have already gone back. Some might wait until after Labor Day. So to all the students, especially one of them, Adam, get up, get going. It's school day. And to all the teachers, the support staff, especially one of my favorite teachers, Jen, get out there and get at it. Those kids need you. Thank you for indulging me.
Be lots of first day of school pictures.
Yeah.
We've gone through on Facebook. There've been a lot of college drop-off pictures. Now it's all the first day of school pictures.
Yes. But at least we're finished the summer vacation pictures.
Oh, I don't know. Probably see a few of those, I would imagine, from this weekend.
Oh, could be from this weekend. Yeah, maybe that's what I'll do this weekend while I'm at the beach.
Or Labor Day.
We got Labor Day. That's right. That's right.
So you never know what's
going to happen. The crickets are in full force, I hear.
Yes, unfortunately.
Your favorite part of the year, no doubt?
No.
No.
Not really. Kind of a pain in the neck.
They are. Well, that's all right. You'll enjoy the quiet when they're gone.
Yes, I will.
So shall we get started?
If you'd like, sure.
Sure. Hey. Always moving forward.
Always moving. Hard to tell if it's forward.
Well, it is forward because you figure everything you do gets you closer to what you're trying to do, even if you're going in the wrong direction. In fact, I heard a great quote over the weekend. I was listening to a podcast. Les Brown had a quote. What was it? You never lose. You either win or you learn.
Well, aren't winning and losing judgments?
I like the idea that you either win or you learn. I like that. I thought you'd enjoy that. But
so does that mean that you don't learn if you win?
I don't think you learn as much.
You don't?
No. My best lessons have come when I've lost. I can think of some pretty big lessons I've picked up over the last 2 years.
Okay. Well, I wonder if you've stopped to really evaluate the learning opportunities when you win, or you just say, I won, I'm moving on?
Well, I was playing golf last week, and I got it was a par 5 hole, and I got the ball within a foot of the green with 2 shots, which is unusual. It's not usual for me to hit 2 really good shots, probably 220 yards each. And as I was walking up to where the ball was, I was thinking about what I did that got me to that place. And so I did learn. I learned a lot in that moment about my attitude because I was told by someone that I couldn't do it. And I decided that I was going to prove to him that I could. And so I got within a foot. And then on another hole, I had a ball, an approach shot that got within, I don't know, 1.5 feet of the flag and the hole. And I took a moment and thought about that. So, I think we can learn when we win if we take the time to.
That's the question. If we take the time to. If we pause and reflect on it, not the win. That's the thing about the winning and losing, is that I think when you get too wrapped up in winning and losing, you stop thinking about what you've learned.
I like that.
Yeah.
So you ready to get rolling on this?
Of course.
All right.
All right. Good morning and welcome everyone to today's Antidote. It's our daily broadcast and podcast where each week Bob and I have a conversation around a topic. As Bob mentioned in the opening, this week's topic is getting real. Last week we talked about what's real, and we went through all the different components of what's real. And we ended Friday on learning. And I think what's interesting is we're at a time where the opportunity to get real, to understand our topic today about yourself, what's real for yourself, it's an important time to do that as we wrap up the summer, get ready for the fall, the final quarter of the year. All of those things give us an opportunity to really check in and see, where are we? Let's get real about where we're at. And today we're talking about ourselves. I have a feeling this week we'll talk about our business or organization and some further things around that. And I think one of the best parts about it is we get to have a conversation around it today. And we look forward to your thoughts and ideas as we have that conversation, because we know that it'll add value to the show. And at the conclusion of that conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote. That thing that we hope will help you if you happen to be stuck, frustrated, overwhelmed, or maybe there's just a little bit of chaos going on, or a lot of chaos going on. And you are looking to figure out how to take that next step. Getting real with where you are is, I think, one of the key ingredients of that. Part of the R is recognize. And I think until we take time to recognize, Bob talked about his golf shot. He recognized the results that he got were something that he might want to contemplate and understand what was real about those results before he then moved on. What did you make on the par 5?
4.
Look at you, a birdie, huh? How close was your chip, or how long was your putt?
I actually putted from from a foot out because it was better at putt than chip, and it was probably 3 feet.
Nice.
It was probably the shot to the green from probably 20 feet. So we have a comment from Kelly early today. Maybe the answer to learning is focusing on the processes and not the outcome. Thanks for the food for thought for the day. Happy to have you here, Kelly. Good morning.
Thanks for summarizing that up, Kelly. Yes. On the process. What did we learn? All right. And then, so of course, if you have one
today, Tom, you okay?
I'm sorry?
You seem subdued today. You're not your usual peppy self.
I think what's real about me today is I feel like I missed 5 days of the show. And so now I'm trying to
remember what it's like
and what I'm supposed to say.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, of course, if you have one thing that you would like to share, your antidote, please feel free to put it in the comments because we welcome your thoughts and ideas. And we know that there might be somebody out there who doesn't have the confidence to understand what their one thing is or how to maybe take it in. And your thoughts and ideas might be exactly what they need to help them figure out how to take their next step or to figure out how to learn from where they're at rather than just see and view the results and deal with that. Before we dive into that conversation, though, we would encourage each of you, and we will as well, to put in our celebrations in the chat. We enjoy starting the day with celebrations. And while you're doing that, Bob and I will talk a little bit about what's real, and then we'll dive into our conversation. Are you putting your celebration?
I was typing.
So while you're saying that, I'll share something that's interesting. That this is our topic today. I saw a couple of posts on Facebook. I don't know, maybe this is a new trend on TikTok or whatever.
Wait, you said a couple of posts on Facebook, and then you said it's a new trend on TikTok.
Because I've seen it there as well. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I know that I confuse you frequently.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I was on the right platform.
And about people who thought about what they thought expected from their life. You know, I think it was somebody's birthday. And so they were talking about turning whatever age it was. I think it was 39 or something. Oh, to turn 39.
I was going to say, wow, that's in the rearview mirror.
They were reflecting back on what they expected their life would be like. And it wasn't that at all. You know, the person talked about having a couple of kids, a house somewhere, and that's not their current reality, what's real about them today. And I think they were sharing that, you know, sometimes we have those expectations and we can be frustrated if we don't achieve them. They, I think, were saying, what's real is actually pretty good. And they were sort of glad, I guess, that things worked out the way they did rather than the way they expected that they would. And I think that's a good thing for us to consider. One thing is we sometimes can't do a whole lot about changing our current circumstance in some regards. In others, there's plenty of opportunity to do it. You could look at what your current circumstances are right now with your work or your business or something in your life and think like, what could I do differently between now and the end of the year to have an impact on that? And so I think if that's something that you're contemplating or something you're struggling with, I want to reach out to Bob or me. We'd love to talk to you about how we might be able to help you get real, get results, and make more money between now and the end of the year. We're launching a program to help people with that. And if that's something you think would be of value, please feel free to contact one of us.
I want to jump in. Tom Kelly has a celebration. My celebration is I'm getting featured on Melinda Cohen's webinar in September. So excited for the opportunity. Look at that. Wow.
That's awesome. Melinda is a coach who has a podcast called Conversations with Coaches or something like that. I forget the exact title. Melinda was also a coach of mine at one point. So Kelly and I share that in common. That's a great celebration. Thank you, Kelly, for putting that in and putting your celebration in. Anything, Bob, you want to share about what's real for you?
Yeah. So over the last couple of months, I've been complaining to myself about my how I felt most days. I haven't been sleeping real well. And so this morning I thought with the new school year starting and with people around me getting up early every day, I thought I'd get up early. So I was up at 5:30, not 6 o'clock. And I actually went out and did a little running. Haven't done running in a couple months. Wow. So, you know, I recognize that I'm getting older. I need to exercise. My evaluation was, you know, I can run. There's no reason why I can't. It clears my mind. It calms me physically. It's good for me. I've got some blood results that would suggest that running wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I activated running by getting up this morning. I set my alarm. I put my clothes out. I told myself last night I'm getting up and running no matter what. It was somewhat frustrating to start. That first day of running, you never feel like you felt when you were doing your last day running. And then looking at what I learned from it, I learned that, one, I love to watch the sunrise. And I got to see the sunrise this morning, which is something that I really enjoy. And while I feel completely exhausted right now and just want to go to bed, I also can feel, I can feel better. So the results I got from that, I think, are just, I feel a lot better. So that would be me getting real with myself about just exercise. And I thought the first day of the new school year in this area would be a good day to start something. It's just a good mile marker. And my goal is to keep this up every other day, at least 3 times a week through the whole school year.
Good for you.
Yeah. So
it's interesting that I've read a lot of things lately about people our age and the value of walking.
Yes.
Is rather than running.
In fairness, I did some run walking. There was more walking than running. I did 2 miles in about 26 minutes, so it wasn't a crazy pace.
No.
But getting out and doing the exercise, to me, is just getting the heart, the muscles moving and the heart. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's one of the things about getting real about yourself right now is that, as you said, it is a seasonal change. The whole idea of going back to school and the opportunity for each of us to consider, okay, what might we do differently in the last quarter of the year so that we might have different results.
Kelly says, well done, Bob. Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate that. I live for positive affirmation. So that.
Yes, words of affirmation. Bob's lovely.
The first day isn't the hardest. It's the 5th day and the 7th day. And yeah. But I'm
trying to run a marathon this month.
What's that?
I'm trying to run a marathon this month.
Not all at once, spread over. Yeah. Okay.
We're doing that at the gym. I should complete it today, though.
Okay. Well, there you go. That'd be a good celebration for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
shall we talk about getting real?
Yeah. I think this is probably one of the biggest hindrances to my career is me not being real with myself. Not really recognizing just who and what I am. I think if you look at my resume, I've had a fair number of jobs. I don't know, 14, 15. I think in many cases, I was a square peg fitting in a round hole. And I wasn't recognizing that as quickly as I might have. I think also at this point in my career, there's some things I've been recognizing in the last couple months about just what I like doing, what I'm good at doing. And someone just in passing one day, it was weird, just someone I met that we were talking about our businesses. And he said, the more I lean into doing the things I've always done well, the more easy it gets and the more productive I feel and the more success I have. And it was kind of a throwaway comment, just in passing a networking event. You just said this, we were chatting. And I really took it to heart thinking about it. I really started to think about what are the things that have been consistent throughout my career and what are the things I really enjoy. And I had gotten away from that a little bit, both in terms of what I was doing in some cases and also in how I was approaching people. You helped me figure that out a little bit. And I think we're always, at least I'm always looking for the latest and greatest thing. If someone hops on here right now and says, oh man, if you do 422 TikTok videos, you'll have it made. I'll start counting TikTok videos. If someone gets on the next day and says, oh, if you do a LinkedIn article every Tuesday morning at 9:30 a.m., you'll have all the success in the world. And I think I'm starting to recognize that I'm prone to consider those things more than I probably could. And I really need to keep focused on what I do well and where that fits into things. And I think that's been a real, that's been me getting real with myself. And that's not always fun. It hasn't been a fun journey to that. There are people in my life who don't like those choices sometimes. There are people in my life who don't understand what is real for me. And sometimes that can be really frustrating, and sometimes that can be really inspiring. And I think the thing I try to keep in mind is the only person who really understands me at the end of the day is me, and that people can provide me a lot of input. And I could think of a couple of cases where I really followed some people's input like blindly. And I'm really trying to recognize that tendency and really, what was one of my bosses used to say, "Oh, stick to your knitting, Bob." And she, whenever I would as she would call it, roam off the ranch, mixing metaphors there. But she was very good at saying, "Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm sorry, what's this you're talking about? You're roaming off your ranch. Your ranch is over there. Stick to your knitting." And I think that was really good advice. Probably, that's been 20 years. I think, and that's the real part for me, is recognizing how much I want to do that. I know why I want to do that. I know that if I'm constantly roaming off the ranch, I'm not responsible for what happens on the ranch, because I can always say, "Well, I was over here." Yeah, my ranch stuff didn't get done, sure, but I was over here helping at this ranch. And I think as I look at that, and as I look at the people I coach, a lot of what really helps them advance is when they can be real about what they like doing, what they want to do, what they're unwilling to do, and what really they want to accomplish in the world. And sometimes I find that just talking to them and helping them say it out loud to themselves, and not laughing at them, not criticizing them, not saying that's the silliest idea in the world, is very empowering to people. It certainly at times, I have a couple of people in my life that I can say anything to, and they won't go, "That's the craziest idea in the world, Bob." Now, there are other people, if I say the slightest thing like, "Hey, I was thinking of doing this," they're like, "What? Why would you do that? That's crazy. What? Are you losing your mind?" And I think having that sounding board, like I know I could come to you with any idea in the world, and you might say, "Whoa, I wasn't expecting that." Explain to me what your thinking is there. And sometimes that thinking might lead me to, "Oh yeah, that doesn't make sense." But I will tell you, with most of my clients, the craziest ideas they've ever had, where they say it's crazy, "You're not going to believe this idea I had, Bob." But usually that's the germ of something really interesting and really powerful to them. And I think so often when we're being real with ourselves, we don't even consider those things that are off the beaten path. Like, I mean, think about it. Right now in the world, we're all talking about going to Mars. Back when you and I were in college, in high school, no one was talking about going to Mars. They were talking about the space shuttle, just orbiting the Earth. They weren't even talking about going to the moon. So here's something that was completely crazy back then. And now we're talking about, like, yeah, it could happen in the next 5-10 years. And I think that shift is just because some people say, "You know what? It's viable." And we talk about, we've cured a lot of diseases that there was a time where it was like, "That'll never get cured. Oh, you're going to die from that." Now we have treatments that you could never imagine. So there's a lot of things where if we don't open our eyes to what's real, both in terms of narrowing, but also in terms of dreaming and thinking big. You and I have big plans for what we do. We've talked about this, and I'm not apologetic about that. And there are also times where we go, "Hey, we got to stay here."
Well, I think one of the things that happens is that when we think of those things that seem outlandish, we think they're so far away. We think Mars is forever away. Yet I'm sure as they started talking through it and started to understand what was real, what are the things we have done, what are the things that we could do, what are the things that we've been good at, that, and how do we implement that now? We realized that we're closer than we thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the biggest challenges, is that we think all those things are so far away from reality, when in actuality, we're likely a lot closer than we think. We just haven't taken the time to sit down and try to understand, to recognize, to evaluate, to take action on, and then to learn from, to see where, what does it look like? I'm sure as they thought, well, okay, we've put a spaceship into space and been able to land it on our moon. So that means we can get something in space. It can travel through space and it can land. And if that's possible, seems like we've figured out a significant part of what it would take to get to Mars. Now, there's the big piece of how do we have enough fuel? How long would it take? What's the implication of going that far? Those are all things that are the next pieces to figure out. And so I'm sure when you stop and do that, you can see, I might be a little further along than I thought. And I think that's one of the things about getting real, is that you see that you might be further along than you expected. And I think that's a very powerful awareness to then help propel you to whatever it is that you want to do. And I think that's, one of the other challenges is in traveling through life, we think, well, I'll never get to that. It's too far away. And yet if we stopped, we've probably done much of the things to get us a lot further or closer towards that than we might have ever expected.
And it's really hard to do on your own.
Sure.
I go back to the time when you and I were talking about me buying a house at the beach. And I was like, oh, I'm not even close to it. And you started to put the pieces together in a way that, the puzzle pieces you aligned were different than the way I put the puzzle pieces together. You had a couple pieces I didn't have, or I was looking at them a certain way. And you said, well, what if you looked at it this way? It's like, oh, wow. And oddly enough, in the last year, I bought a condo that cost more than what the beach house would have cost, and didn't even think about it. And I think that's the part of getting real, is real both in terms of what our limitations are and real in terms of what our possibilities are. And I really think as I get older, I rely on other people to help me see through it, because I can't see it myself. I was thinking about something over the weekend and I was just really rattled about it. And I was seeing things a certain way. It had to be this way. And someone said to me, hey, wait a second, maybe it could be this way or this way. Have you thought about that? And I hadn't, because I got the vision in my head of this is the way it's got to be. And I think we get that tunnel vision because otherwise we feel like we're flitting around trying different things and nothing makes sense. So I think that's ultimately when we're talking about getting real. And this is my one thing. It's really difficult to do ourselves when it's something that matters to us, because there's so much emotion. There's so much pent up. Well, I worked so hard on this and it's not working the way I thought, or I didn't work so hard on that. And someone will look at you and be like, well, what more could you have done? So I think it's really to get real about yourself. It can't be just you. It's got to be someone else that you trust being able to help you figure it out.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's because we only can see it for one perspective. And usually that perspective is out of frustration because we're not there yet. And imagining how far away it is until someone else.
When I approached the green and saw the ball was about a foot off of the green, I was pissed. There's a person I was playing golf who said to me, hey, That is really close. That shift as we were approaching it shifted my thinking because in my mind, I failed. In his mind, I got farther than I thought. And I think that's a great example of where two perspectives just same very little thing. And it changes how you look at that whole golf game. I've told 3 people, hey, I had this really great, I told you before the program. If I wouldn't have told you, hey, Tom, I had this really great 2 shots in a row and I got a foot short. I can't believe it. You'd be like, oh, you loser. What's wrong with you? It's all perspective. And I think we tend to, at least I tend to look at the negative perspective when it involves me. And that often deters me where I need the people around me to say, hey, whoa, it's not as bad as you think. You were a foot away. That's closer than you've ever been.
You didn't complete what you expected to complete.
Right.
And so you immediately, it goes back to, in your mind, a failure.
Yep.
Because I got challenged that I couldn't hit the green in 2. And I said, I'm going to do it. And I hit what felt like a really good shot. And I still didn't do it.
Right.
So you can see it as different. Whereas I'm sure your playing partner was like, wow, I didn't think you'd get that close. That's awesome.
Right. Wish I could do that, I believe is what he said.
Yeah. Did you win a bet or lose? So did you have a bet on it or no?
We did not bet. No.
Wasn't it about buying a drink at the bar?
No, it was not. No.
Okay. Yeah, I think I think it's really hard for us to get real about ourselves because we only see it from one perspective. And so I like that one thing.
What's your one thing? Your today's antidote.
Yeah, my antidote about getting real about yourself. I think that we're usually a lot closer than we think we are to what we desire. We just need probably a different perspective. Mm-hmm. Or some different input or feedback to help us get there. I think so often every time we think about where is it we want to be and we think it's too much or it's too far or I'll never get there. And it's that self-doubt that makes it extremely difficult to see the possibilities that there are. And I think, like you said, having someone else to help you see that maybe rather than being so far away, you're actually a lot closer than you might think. Kind of like with your golf analogy, is that for you, it was still a foot away.
Right.
For him, it was only a foot away. How awesome is that? And I think that when we get that other perspective, it allows us to be more thinking about the opportunity is there to achieve it rather than, yeah, I didn't do it. I don't get a chance to do it again. I'll never be able to do that. And not move on. You'll stay stuck in that feeling. And so I think the opportunity to get a different perspective is key to helping us see things through different lenses that allow us to then move forward to achieve what it is we want to achieve.
I like that. Yeah.
All right, everyone. If you have a one thing that you'd like to share, please feel free to put it in the comments. And thank you to Kelly for her comments as well, and some clarity she provided around something we were sharing, and for sharing her celebration. Appreciate that as well. If you have a thought or an idea or celebration that you'd like to share, but you're listening to the podcast and there's no place to share it, please feel free to go to our Facebook group, Sculpt Your Business, where you can share your thoughts and ideas and your one thing there and gain from the value that others have shared in that group. So we look forward to seeing you inside of that group, or we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.-ish Eastern time for our next episode of Today's Antidote.
Hey, whatever you do, embrace the renegading you. First step in being real. Embrace the renegading you.
Yes, and go out and enjoy the day. We will see you soon.
Hey, are you struggling to be honest with yourself about what's working, what's not working? Do you need that outside voice, that outside perspective that can help you figure out what's going on and how to look at things from a different perspective? So maybe you'll realize that you're probably closer than you think to achieving what you want to achieve. Well, Tom and Bob are there for you. We have our Get Real, Get Results, Make More Money program. And all you have to do is go to the Renegade Success Network, and you'll see all the details there. You might be closer than you realize to achieving your goals. We want to help you get there even faster. See you soon.